I've heard for a very long time that it's impossible to get leaner and stronger at the same time. I even believed it for many years. But last year I decided to make a change and I showed that it isn't impossible. And now I want to show you the approach that I took to get leaner and hit personal records at the same time. So last year at this time, I weighed 305 pounds. This was a weight I was pretty comfortable in maintaining, meaning I didn't have to force feed myself, but it wasn't very comfortable, right? You know, just try tying your shoes at over 300 pounds and you'll find out how uncomfortable it is to be that big and strong. At the same time, I was just about to have our third daughter born. And I was thinking, man, I need a change. I need to be healthier and still be a competitive strongman because that's what I love to do. So I decided to make a change and I decided to set my sights on cutting down to get to the under 265 pound or under 120 kilogram weight class in strongman and maintain my strength and hopefully build on it at the same time. And I was able to do that. So I want to share with you today the changes that I made that led me down that path to success. All right. So the first thing you need to do is make a commitment. All those years, I believed that it was impossible to get leaner and stronger at the same time. And for a lot of years, that made me not even try. I just focused on getting bigger to get stronger and kind of sacrificed a lot of my health to do so. But once I flipped my mindset and I broke my belief and made a new one, which was that I believed that you could get leaner and stronger at the same time, and made all of the other changes much easier to implement because I actually believed that they could lead to the result I was looking for. Now, I didn't know that they would work, and in the end, it actually did. But that's the first important change to make is breaking your old belief and making a new one and committing to pursuing the path that that belief puts you on. The second thing you need to do is move more. So your normal bodily functions only burn so many calories and is a pretty consistent amount of calories. In order to burn more, you can either put less calories into your system or you can expend more energy. And so for me, this turned into a relentless pursuit of walking. Walking is a great form of movement to help recover from the heavy training that you do as a strength athlete. And it's also very easy to implement, right? You have to walk just to get around. You just do a bit more of that, right? So what I did was I committed to doing 10,000 steps per day or more on non-training days and 7,000 steps per day or more on training days. So that means that compared to my normal, routine, sitting at a desk and stuff, walking 1 to 2,000 steps a day in total, I was, five timesing that on non-training days or more. So that commitment just to move more was one way for me to burn extra calories. And it also had the added effect, like I mentioned, of improving recovery. Now, of course, I would, recommend walking outside. It's kind of great for your mental health. You get to interact with people, which can be great as well. But if it has to be on a treadmill, then it has to be. For me here in Canada in the winter, some of it had to be on a treadmill, and it is what it is. So it doesn't matter where you're walking, it's just about committing to getting that set number of steps in and being relentless about it. Okay, the third thing that you need to do, and I already mentioned this, is reduce the number of calories. So obviously, to lose weight, we have to put a little bit less energy in so that our body starts to grab energy from our stored fuel sources like fat. So that's what I did. Now, I did this through two different mechanisms. One was restricting my eating window, and the other thing was increasing the proportion of protein that my diet was made up of. So let's talk about the first one. Restricting my eating window looks something like this. Normally, I would eat three, normal meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I have snacks in between those. And my particular problem was snacking after supper, right before bed, that kind of thing. So what I did was I just restricted my eating window to basically get rid of breakfast. So I would go throughout my morning and I would have my first meal at lunchtime. And then I wouldn't eat anything after about 8 p.m. at night. Now, within that time, I could eat, whatever food I needed to satisfy me, the amount of food to satisfy me. But I was pretty strict about not eating outside of that. And that kept me from eating stuff that was less than optimal for my goal, right? So I'll always find if I ate after 8 p.m., it's always garbage. It's always snacks, baked goods, chips, all this stuff that isn't going to get me to where I wanted to go. So that's the first thing I did. Just restrict the eating window. The second thing I did was increase the proportion of protein in my diet. So a big change for me was for lunch every day, I would eat two steaks, two 8-ounce steaks. And that, lunch before that used to be kind of whatever, leftover pizza, sandwiches, things with a way higher proportion of carbohydrates than just two steaks. So I'd take two steaks, put a little barbecue sauce on them, fry them up, and eat those every day relentlessly. Then for supper, had kind of like a normal meal my family would eat. So some meat, vegetables, and potatoes, rice, pasta, something like that. But what I would do with those meals is just have more of my plate covered in protein, whatever that protein source could be: fish, chicken, beef, whatever we were having, right? So those are the two things that help me kind of reduce the number of calories, right? I realized that if I ate more meat, I could be more full and I wouldn't crave, those sugary carbohydrate snacks that I want. And then the eating window just forced me to eat less calories because, you get full and then you can't, kind of stuff yourself in a shorter window like you can across a long period of time throughout your day. These three major changes were a big part of how I was able to lean out and still get stronger at the same time. I went from struggling with, let's say, my deadlift, and being able to breathe comfortably to, setting personal records, competing against the strongest men in Ontario after losing 40 pounds. So these things work. Give them a try, and I guarantee you'll see some progress in a few weeks. However, this isn't the complete approach. There are other major things to consider, like changes to your training. If you want to know more about my approach, you can find the complete solution on the Strength Network. Become a member of the Strength Network, and you'll gain exclusive access to life altering content like my guide on having less fat and more strength. And with that, I thank you for watching. Take care.